Well, hello everyone. Eric Chappelle, Community Evangelist for InfraWorks 360, and welcome to another installment of our InfraWorks 360 Product Team Webcast series. Today, Sara is going to be talking about the new InfraWorks 360 Cloud Model Workflows, and along with her will be Isaac Rodriguez, watching for questions and maybe chiming in here and there. Before we get to the main presentation, I just want to talk to you about our webcast series in our community. If you're new, we do this twice a month. Typically, it's the first and third Wednesdays of the month, but we're a little off track because of timing with the last release of InfraWorks 360. I was looking at the calendar today, and we're going to get back on track in April. So right now, we're like the second, fourth, in February and March, and then we'll get back on track in April. Not that it's that big of a deal, but it's twice a month is the is the main idea. Our goals here are to, share information with you about InfraWorks 360, things that we think you're going to be interested in or going to find valuable from the perspective of the product team whenever we possibly can, and that's exactly what we're doing today. Sara and Isaac are they handle the cloud model workflows that they're going to be talking about, and among other things. And there's probably no one in the world better equipped to talk to you about those topics. Our next webcast is actually, we're going to go outside the product team a little bit, and you're going to hear from James Wedding, which I know most of you know. And he's going to talk to us about using InfraWorks 360 and a little bit of Civil 3D and a little bit of vehicle tracking in a land development application. We talk a lot about transportation with InfraWorks 360, and what you may or may not know is that it's pretty good at doing land development type projects as well. And he's going to share with you some tips and tricks on how to get that done. And there's a good bit of Civil 3D interoperability in there too. So if you're interested in how to use the two products together, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, are also Civil 3D users. So I think you'll find this quite interesting and relevant to your everyday needs of what you have to do with these products. So don't miss this one, Wednesday, March 9th, 12 to 1 Eastern, and James will be talking about the land development projects. As we always do, it's kind of a custom now, we want to ask you about your usage level with InfraWorks 360, so I'm going to launch the poll, and if you don't mind, please provide your answer as to where you are in your, usage journey with InfraWorks 360, ranging from not even having it installed to not being able to live without it. And I'll give you a few seconds to provide your answers on that poll. We've seen a pretty steady progression from the top of the list down to the bottom, and it seems like every time we have the webcast, the fourth option gets more and more response, and we're seeing that again this time. The fourth option, I regularly use it on some projects, is at 43% right now, and everything else is in the teens or less. I feel like I'm looking at presidential primary results right now with the percentages, but interestingly, that topic is growing in popularity. So I'm going to go ahead and close down that poll. Thanks everyone who provided answers. And moving right along, I want to talk to you a little bit about our community. In general, we have a growing and very active community, not just on our community hub, but also in social media, in the forums, and a lot of the things listed here that the social hub kind of brings into one place. But what I'm highlighting right now on this slide is the community hub, and you'll find it at autodesk.com/InfraWorks360 community, and it's kind of a one-stop shop for the forum where you can get questions answered, the idea station where you can submit ideas for improving the product and get other people to vote for your ideas or to go in and vote for other people's ideas, InfraTips, which is a really popular community page where we have lots of short, easily digestible tips that help improve your productivity. The gallery, where you can share your projects that you're working on in InfraWorks 360 or take a look at what other people are doing. The gallery is a great place to get ideas, and if people are curious about, if you're having trouble explaining to maybe your manager or someone else in your company, why do we need InfraWorks 360, take them to the gallery and show them some of the things that other other companies are doing. In some cases, it might be the company around the corner, and that really does give you a strong idea of what can be done with it. Social Hub is for all the social media information that's out there, including blogs. So that feeds in Facebook, Twitter, and various blogs that have to do with InfraWorks 360. We've got a videos tab where you can look at all the videos that have been posted, including recordings of previous webcasts. And we've got a panel there also that tells you how to register for upcoming webcasts. So that's all there at the community site. We also have a new learning tab, which was recently redone and redesigned, and it's pretty slick, so you definitely want to check that out. I don't know that we're going to talk about any preview or labs features today, but just in case we do, it's important that you know that those features are not any kind of promise of what's going to exist in future releases. So I have to say this for legal reasons, and have the slide in at the beginning of every webcast. So moving right along, I want to encourage you guys to ask questions. Isaac is standing by. I'm standing by. We can't open the phone lines for questions because it gets a little too crazy with the audio. But we want to encourage you to use the questions window on your GoToWebinar interface. Type in those questions and submit them, or if you have any suggestions or comments, it really just makes the presentation even more interesting if we can have some audience participation. So Isaac or myself will answer the questions in the questions window, or maybe even if there's a couple of recurring themes there, we may even just break in and interrupt Sara and say, hey, we had a really cool question from the audience, and we can do that as many times as we need. So please, the bottom line here is ask lots of questions. It's going to make it even more interesting for everyone. So that's it for my spiel. I'm going to hand the controls over to Sara.
So today we're going to talk about opening and creating cloud models, upgrading models depending on your role, what and where is the new cloud model cache, and a couple of tips on how to get a local copy of a cloud model and deleting the cloud models. So that's me on the left. I work in the user experience area trying to make sure that the workflows are smooth and the customer's voice is heard as we're working with the teams to develop these new features. And Isaac is the product owner of of the cloud services. Isaac, maybe you want to say a few words right now?
Yeah, so like Sara said, I'm in the product owner role for cloud services, so feel free to contact me with any ideas or suggestions you may have about our cloud services.
All right, so let's explain why we're going through this. With the latest release of InfraWorks, we're trying to provide a more seamless cloud experience. But at the same time, we know some people like to work with local models, so we're trying to give you the benefits of both the cloud and your local models if you wish to have them. We've got a new concept of a cache to store the cloud models so that it provides good performance, and the system it has a predictable location so the system can find those cached models. There's new workflows for upgrading the models, and that the whole team is now included when models get upgraded instead of the local model getting detached from the cloud and having to republish. That's all one smooth process now. And because of this, the upgrading is done in the cloud, we can restrict that action by role. And we'll go into all of that later. The first thing I'm going to show you is just a really simple thing. It's just opening a cloud model. So I'm just going to show you how that experience is right now. Tell me when you can see the product. This is the home screen of InfraWorks.
We're seeing the home screen now, Sara.
Okay. So I'm signed in as myself right now, and I see that I've got this model called Victoria, and it's a cloud model. So I'm just going to open it. I happen to see, and the reason I know it's a cloud model is I'm looking at the cloud icon, as opposed to this one, which is the Las Vegas model is just local. And if you hover, you get a bit of information about that. So I'm going to open that model. Before, you would have been given a choice to, you know, where do I want to download this? Where do I want to place it? So right now, it's just simply opening and it's being stored in a cache. So we don't need to pick where it goes, and it is actually downloading if you look carefully, but it's really nothing you need to think about or worry about. It's just going to open the cloud model. And the reason I picked one, this is actually one that was created with Model Builder. There will be a little bit of time for it to download, and especially if it has, you know, point clouds and terrain, Bing imagery from Model Builder. So just wanted you to be aware that there is, if it's a pure cloud model and hasn't been cached yet, there will be a bit of time opening it. This one won't take too long, but in the meantime, we're going to go and look at that. So, so we open it just with a click. It does the opening and the caching, and at the end, you'll see that it's cached in a certain location, and we'll go into that later. After this, I'm going to show you now how to create a new blank model directly in the cloud. If you are one who likes to create your own models from scratch, you now have a choice to create it directly in the cloud instead of creating it locally and then publishing it. So we'll go into that workflow in a second. So here we are in the middle of the opening process, and so we're going to just, it'll look like it's going to take some time, but it'll actually finish quickly. We're going to look at upgrading a model later. This is one with the little orange alert icon on it, and it's telling you that that model is from a previous version of InfraWorks, so it needs to be upgraded. So we'll go through that workflow. I've got a model sitting here, so we can look at how to delete a model that's on the cloud and how to finish the delete process. And those are the workflows that we're going to go through. All right, let's keep trying. We've done the new blank model directly in the cloud. Now it was published as we went. So I'm going to show you something about when you publish a local model to the cloud. So this is something you might find that it surprises you. Let me see. I'm just going to create a new model here. You might find that, so let's call this a local model. I put it on my drive, my computer drive here, and I'll go show you that. And here is my local folder that I like to store my local models. And you can see the one I just created is the local model. It consists of two pieces, the SQLite file, and then it's a folder of all the other files. The two of them go together, and it's in my regular directory. Now, whenever if I choose to then publish this model to the cloud, I work on it, I edit it, and I choose to share it with my team. When I do that, I actually manually publish it. So when that happens, and you might notice that this will happen to yours, so when you publish it, let's hope it goes fast. We'll put it to my default group again. Publish it. And you will see that it's actually going to be moved out of the directory. It's going to be moved into the cache, and I'll show you that in a minute. It's really not, I'm not showing this so that you'll go there and inspect the cache. I just want you to be aware that this is what happens. Don't think that you've lost your local models. Once you publish them, they're just being moved into this cloud model cache location. So the cache happens to be here. That's the default location. And their models are just basically stored under their ID. And you will see that we're going to, as soon as this is finished, it'll have a new entry here, and it will be gone from this directory. So we've gotten that question on the forums, what happened to my model when I published it, and that's where it is if you need to physically see it. But the idea is basically that you see it on your home screen. It's all connected up properly, and you don't really need to be worrying about where it is on your local drive.
Sarah, I actually have a question I'm curious about. If you started that model on a network drive and then published it, would it then move the cache to your local drive?
So say that again.
So I create a new model, but I create it on a network drive. So I'm purposely creating it to be stored on a server. And then I publish that model. So does the model, basically the local data is going to move from the network to my local hard drive? Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, so if it was on a network drive, so you saw that local model was, pretend this was a network drive. It was located here, and its folder of files. It's now been moved here under, and there it is, under its ID. So yes, it'll move it into the cloud model cache, wherever that's located. And while we're talking about that, why don't we just look at where that is located? Okay. So up here, if we go up into application options, you can see that the cache location for cloud models, that's the new field. That is located, I happen to have it on my D drive, and it's located in this folder just underneath my regular, Autodesk InfraWorks models directory. I can change that, and it'll move all those models to a location of my choice. This is an interesting thing to show you right now. You'll notice you can't change that location. You can't press the button to pick another path because we've got a model open. So, so we need to make sure that we restart InfraWorks and go in here right away so that there's no model open, so that we're able to then move all those models to a new cache location. How are we doing for time? I wonder if I should move them or move on to something else. Isaac, what do you think? We can actually go through the move process live here, or we can do a few other workflows.
Up to you. I just want to talk about one question that somebody posted about storing the cache on a network. So if you see in the dialog that Sarah was showing, you can configure where the cache is located, and that location cannot be a UNC path, but you can actually map a drive or a UNC folder and set it to that mapped location if you want to store it in the network. One thing that you have to be careful is if you are doing that for backup purposes, so sometimes your IT department will back up servers but not individual machines, that is fine as long as you are the only user of that model. If you are doing it to share that model with other people, you may run into trouble depending on the permissions that you have, because we make some assumptions when we don't find models in the location that we expect them, but these models are cloud models and they exist in the cloud. And we also make some assumptions when we find things that we think they are not supposed to be there, and we may end up deleting some of your models if you are not careful how you set your cache. So my recommendation is that if you want to put them on a network, make sure that you are the only person that is using that specific location, and do not share models directly from the network.
Okay. So can you see my slide about the cloud roles?
Yes, we can.
All right, so let's get into this. On the cloud, there are various roles with various levels of permission. A reader can view the model only. An author can edit and sync their changes inside the model. A publisher can publish, upgrade, and delete models and web views for a group. And the administrator has all these permissions, plus they can manage groups and users across the account. So why do I show you this? Because I'm going to just show you the permissions, the dependency on certain permissions for upgrading a model. So let's quickly go into the groups. I happen to be an admin, the person that I'm logged in as. So we'll go into the groups interface. So if I go into my groups, so we have a number of users in this group. And you can see there are different roles. I'm an admin. There are authors and publishers and readers, and you set their role here. This one is an author, and I'm going to sign in as that person to show you their experience. So when I sign out, it actually restarts InfraWorks so that I can sign in as a new person or with a different login.
Sara, maybe while that's logging in, can you remind us of the different roles and generally what their abilities are?
Do you want me to bring that forward?
Just
PowerPoint?
Just a quick mention of, we've got author, we've got admin,
Right.
what other roles are there, just quickly?
So we've got admin or administrator, publisher, author, and reader. The idea being that the admin, is in charge of who belongs to which group, who gets to see the models and share them. The publisher manages the models. They upload them, they publish them, they delete them, they upgrade them. They're responsible. They're more like the CAD manager of the group, and they know that this is what needs to be done to the model to keep it up to date, or the team is ready to upgrade to the next version of InfraWorks. The authors might be outside contractors, for example. You don't want them manipulating the models and moving them around on the cloud, but you want them to be able to edit inside the model and sync their changes to the shared model. And readers are able to, if they choose to use this desktop interface, they're able to open the cloud models and view them, but they're not able to edit them, and they're not able to sync back their changes. So those are the main roles. I'm now logged in as an author. So I come to this model, which I called Upgrade Me, so that I could remember what we were doing with it. So we're going to try and upgrade this model. We can see that this one was created with an older version of InfraWorks and needs to be upgraded. So I try to open this model, and it'll tell me what I'm allowed to do with it. So I'm an author. I don't have permission to do model management. The model needs to be upgraded, and it tells me that, but I don't have permission to upgrade this shared model. So I need to contact an administrator or publisher on my team to upgrade this model for me. And why is that? Well, because once we upgrade this model, it's going to upgrade it for the whole team. And they will all need to install the version of InfraWorks that matches this model to be able to continue using it. So I'll go and do that as an admin, and I'll go ahead and upgrade this model. And that'll take a moment as I sign out and sign in. And are there any questions on this? Okay.
There's nothing currently up there that relates to this, Sara, so I think you can continue.
Continue? Okay. So let's go look at some visuals about this cloud model cache. So we already talked about how we normally store our local models in this default Autodesk InfraWorks model folder. When we publish to the cloud, that model gets moved over into this model cache. wherever it's located. In my case, it was right underneath here. Now, a lot of people these days have a C drive that's small, solid state drive, but there's a larger D drive. So you might not want to keep your models on the C drive because they can get very big. So that's where you can go into this application options that I showed you. You can just move to a different path, and it will move all your models over into that cloud model cache. So I'm going to go in as myself again. And while we're doing that, I just want to show you one thing. You saw that there were two fields on that on the application options. There's the cache location for the cloud models. That's the new field. But there's this other cache location for generated surface tiles. So people do get confused about the difference between these. So the surface tiles are those you know, baked generated surface tiles that they are actually, whenever you open a model, it creates these tiles, these 3D tiles, and it actually caches it locally so that it's faster the next time you open it. So those two are stored and have been for some time. They are stored locally. You probably didn't know about it. They're generally stored right where your application is for you know, performance reasons. That's the whole reason they're cached. And so you can also move those if you wish. And they will, this cache is just, you know, a generated cache. It'll get regenerated next time you open the model. The cloud model cache will actually store your changes with that cached model until you sync to the cloud. So you've got changes in your cloud model cache. The surface tiles are just auto-generated. So now we're back. I'm signed in as myself, so I'm an admin. So I click on the model that's created with an earlier version. It tells me the model needs to be upgraded. And it says it's a shared cloud model and it must be upgraded to my version of InfraWorks. Now it's warning me if I upgrade the shared model, all my group members that are using that same model must install the new InfraWorks 360 to continue working on it. So I have a choice. I can either upgrade that shared model, which will take care of the cloud model, and they will have to then install their new InfraWorks, or I can upgrade a copy, which will, again, you know, I'll get a choice to put it in a group in the cloud of my choice. It won't touch the original model. It'll create a whole new one if I wish. So this is actually interesting, and we would actually like some customers to talk to us about whether they really do need this choice. Do you really need to be able to upgrade a copy of the model? Do you want to keep two around? Or do you just want to go ahead and keep that shared model up to date all the time? So I don't know if you can type in your responses or contact Isaac after, but we'd like to hear from you on whether you really need this choice. But for now, I'm just going to upgrade the shared model, and it's going to basically, behind the scenes, it's going to take care of the cloud model. It's going to sync it with anything that I had in my local cache. Any changes that I hadn't synced yet, it's going to merge them back and forth, and then it's going to take that new schema, that new database schema that the model has, because I've got a new version of InfraWorks, and it's going to make sure the cloud model has that same schema so everything is compatible with each other. And that will take a moment. Let me just check for time. We've got a couple of minutes. And let me see what else we were going to look at.
Just let me interrupt for a second. So anybody that has any feedback about that upgrade copy option when upgrading a model, please send me an email directly. And if you can explain how do you use it and which sort of situations you use it and how do you find it useful. We We are looking into the possibility of removing the option, and we need to understand if people are actually using it and how to make the decision. So it will be great to hear from you.
Yeah. And I think what I'll do is I'm just going to show you these two tips, but we won't actually step through them because of the time factor. But basically, if you're thinking a cloud model's in the cloud, right? I don't have it locally. So how do I get, what if I want to get a local copy of it? So the recommendation is you go inside the model, you go under the Settings and Utilities menu, you duplicate that model. Now, change its name so it makes sense. It's, you know, it'll look different on your home page because you've given it a new name. Make sure that you put it in the location, a good location. In my case, I want it in that default directory. This field may default to the cloud model cache. Don't save it there. You can put it on your map network drive too. It's going to become a completely disconnected local model when you're finished. So basically you do it with duplicate. That's the way to do that workflow. And the second thing, the last thing I wanted to show you was how to delete a cloud model. It actually takes 2 steps. And you would go into the Manage interface here where you're managing your cloud models. You would find the cloud model, which group is it in, and you would delete it. But when you delete a cloud model that's going directly to the cloud, there's still that little piece left in your cloud model cache. It's still sitting there. You'll see that its tile will change to have an X here, and you can delete it locally. And this is another thing we'd like to hear from you. So you can imagine if there's a cloud model being shared by 4 or 5 people, and they've all got Salzburg site in their cache. And if I'm, you know, have permission and I'm able to delete that model, if I delete the cloud model, what do we want to happen to all these remnants that are in it, the remnants in everybody's cache? Should they be deleted as well? It's not going to help people very much to have those remnants in their cache. They're not going to be able to republish. It's left over from when the cloud model was up in the cloud and actively communicating with these cache models. So what do you think is the right workflow for your team? Should they just all disappear? If someone makes a decision that a model is to be deleted, it shouldn't ever show up on anyone's home screen. So if you can communicate with Isaac and let us know, give us some guidance on that, we would appreciate it. And the last thing I just want to say, we have more details on Bimagination. I will send this PowerPoint to Eric so that he can publish it for you, but you can go and get posted on the Bimagination blog so that the workflows are there. I posted a bunch of info tips on all these workflows, so there's more information out there.
Sara,
okay, Eric,
if you're going to cover this later, let me know, but I was wondering about what happens if you upgrade a model before you've synced your changes. Is that something you need to be conscious of, or does it happen automatically? How does that work?
So it will, when you do the upgrade, let me just put this in front of people. So remember, the model upgrade now affects the shared model for the whole team. And, you know, if you are an admin and you can upgrade the shared model, it will upgrade it. It will take your changes and it will merge it in with the cloud. So the unsynced changes are merged with the upgraded model, and same with when other members of the team then open that model, it'll merge their changes. But we still say sync often as you work. Don't let your changes pile up in your cache so that everyone's syncing massive amounts of changes and all the merging logic has to deal with it. You should sync as you're editing the model, sync all the time. The more you sync, the fewer the changes are being pushed back and forth to the cloud, and the rest of your team will get to see your changes.
Great, thanks. Well, we've got about 10 minutes left. I don't know if you had any more material that you wanted to show. We do have a few minutes if you want to, if you have any more.
Okay, I'll do that. Let's do the delete. So here's that XXX model that I wanted to get rid of. It's a cloud model, and it also is cached. I can see that because my tooltip tells me where it is. So I'm going to go into Online Models, Manage Online Models, and remember I'm an admin, so I have permission to do this. So I'll find the model. There it is, XXX. I can, by the way, see a history of things that have been done to that model. So I want to get rid of it for the whole team. Yes, so it'll get rid of the cloud model, but it's just, this interface is talking directly to the cloud, so it's deleting just the cloud model. And then you'll see, oh, it's still there. I thought I deleted it, but basically it's that cached model. It's a house now, so it's local, but it's not a, it's not an intact local model that you can go in and edit and publish somewhere else. So you don't really want to keep this around. It's also in your cloud model cache, but you'll notice that now there's a delete button available. I can get rid of it, and so on. But remember, it's also on maybe Isaac's machine or Eric's machine because they were collaborating with me on that model. So next time they go into InfraWorks, they'll see that XXX model with, a house on it. It's local, and they'll all have to get rid of it. So hence, we'd like a little bit of feedback on how best our customers would like us to handle this situation. Is a delete an informed decision by a person that has permission, and should it then get rid of that model for everybody so they don't have to worry about it? Okay, so that's the delete workflow.
Somebody's asking if there is a way to delete a group.
And there is. So I'm going into the group membership interface. You see I'm in the upper left. I clicked on it. So if you have permission, so you need to be an admin to be in this interface. And remember, you will see only the groups, you will see only the accounts that you've been given admin permissions for. So I have 2 accounts that I'm an admin for. So once I'm here, I can add or remove a group. I believe if you have models already published to that group, it's going to warn you that you do have models in that group, so deal with those before you remove the group, but this is the place to do it. Okay. Oh, the other thing, when I gave you the, I'll bring it over again, the slide on the roles. Now that these roles are coming into play a little bit more in your workflows, so think a bit more about what permissions you give to people in your group. So if you truly want to make sure that no one accidentally upgrades the model before the team's ready, make them author. Just have a few publishers in a group or a couple of people who really know what should be done with those models. And, you usually have 1 or 2 administrators because these administrators have permission across your entire account. So just be a little bit more aware of what permissions you're giving to people when you set up your groups. Okay. How are we doing, Eric?
We've got a few minutes left. Maybe I only need about 2 minutes at the end to wrap up. So we did have a question about, can a deleted model be recovered from the cache?
So deleted from...
so my take is
from your file.
Delete a model and then you realize that you really didn't want to do that. Can you go back to the cache and recover it somehow?
So it's just a file system operation. You're deleting it as you would delete any file from, for example, through Windows File Explorer. So however you can recover through a file deletion. Isaac, do you have anything more to add to that?
Yeah, so there's two scenarios. One where you delete that model from the cloud. The other is if you go to your cache, you can always delete a model that is in the cache and recover it by re-downloading it from the cloud. Right now, if you were to delete that model from the cloud, I think it becomes a local model, isn't it?
A local model that's still connected, so it's not fully local. But I mean, I have tips online. If you go to one of my infra tips, you'll see that another way to just delete the local cache model is just to go into the cache and get rid, delete it from the model ID up from that folder. So here's that upgrade me local cached version of that model, and it's under 78578. I can just delete that if I want to get rid of that local. It won't get rid of the cloud one, but this is a manual way to do it. But don't go into the cache and do this unless you really are confident of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. But the tips are there. I was going to show you how to move the cache. So now I'm able to move it. Let's just say this was on my C drive, and it isn't, but let's say it was, and I wanted to move it to my D drive. I could create a new folder. And pick that. And that's now my new cache, and then when I say OK, it's simply going to move all those models over to the new location, and from that point on, that's where it will store any of my cloud models. And remember, in this case, do the move here in Application Options so the system knows where it's pointing to the correct cache. Don't try to move your cache with the Windows file system.
All right, well, I'm showing just a few minutes left, so if you don't mind, Sarah, I'm going to take back presenter control and just talk about a few more general items before I let everyone go. I just wanted to remind everyone before we wrap up that our next webcast is on March 9th, Land Development with InfraWorks 360, and as I mentioned, James Wedding is going to be the presenter. He's not just going to be covering InfraWorks 360, but also Civil 3D and perhaps a little bit of vehicle tracking. So it's a really good overview of how all those solutions can help you get your land development projects done more quickly and effectively. I want to thank Sara and Isaac for putting on a great presentation today. You all know how to reach us if you have more questions. Isaac even asked for some feedback on some specific items through his email. So please, any feedback you give us is useful and greatly appreciated. So don't be shy. Let us know what you're thinking about what you saw today and about the product in general. Don't forget, we've got the forum where you can interact with other users and with us, and we've also got the idea station. If you've got ideas for improving the product or adding to it, that's a great place as well. So with that, I'm going to wrap up today's webcast. Thanks again, all of you, for attending. We'll see you all in 2 weeks for James's presentation. Have a great day.